now listening to the Arsenal Therapy Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the 15-minute show, part of the Arsenal Therapy Podcast. Today, I'm here to talk about Noni Madueke and Viktor Gyokeres. Both players made their first Emirates appearance against Villarreal, and they had mixed fortunes, it's fair to say. Arsenal as a whole didn't look overly inspiring. We lost the game 3-2 and got hit in the counter 3 times with damaging effects. On the counter, Arsenal didn't deal with things very well, but in attack, we really failed to generate true shots, opportunities, and we once again scored from a set piece and a penalty. That takes 3 of our 6 preseason goals to ones that have come from either the penalty spot or corners. That's a worry. But Arsenal brought in Madueke and Gyökeres as 2 players who were very strong at progressive carries, very strong at getting the ball into the box, and both hit over 3.5 shots per game. There was an indication with these signings that Arsenal wanted to play more direct football. They wanted to really brighten things up, and it was an acknowledgement that Mikel Arteta thought the attack was stale. Last season, we horseshoed too often. We didn't have enough central threat. We weren't creating enough cutbacks, and ultimately, Arsenal's attack needed refreshed. However, in pre-season, we've seen a lot of the same. A big part of that is because our new signings haven't been ready yet. As I said, it was Gyökeres' first start. Madueke has just come back from holiday, although he has spent the time working with his own personal coach and took around a week's holiday, followed by a week doing that. He had said he wanted to come back in tip-top shape to play for Arsenal, and he looked pretty fit last night, if not just slightly rusty. So I'm going to get into it, and I'm going to start with Viktor Gyokeres. He was the one that started the game, and he was someone who has a lot of pressure on him. He's someone that embraces that. He feels like this move was there for him, but he is a very different style player to anything Arsenal have had. I've talked about Gyökeres before. He's someone who does like to run in behind. He will run relentlessly, whether it's the first minute or the last. But it is important to note that Gyökeres flew from Sweden into London, London to Singapore, Hong Kong, and then back in a very, very short space of time. So he hasn't had much training time. He did have the weekend off like the rest of the players to recover from the jet lag, and he's been in and had a couple of training sessions. Now, this is going to be something over the next 10 days. He's going to have a lot of work to do. And Kai Havertz's injury really threw a spanner in the works for Arsenal. But let's have a look at some of Gyökeres' key actions in this game. I'm going to start with his forward actions because that's what everyone really wants to see. And then I'm going to look at some of the stuff he did off the ball. Because whilst he has been slightly criticized in some angles, there are a lot of positive things here that if we look at them and we look at what Arsenal need to do to make sure we're maximizing these qualities, a lot of it is what you guys and everyone has been calling out for Arsenal to do more of. So first up, this is a couple of minutes into the game. So ball comes down the left-hand side. It's Merino has the ball, and you can see ball comes in. It's a good pass in from Mikel Merino. Carries it well. Ball straight in. You can see right now, you can see where Gyökeres is when Merino gets the ball. Right in the kind of zone 14. Gets it. As Merino starts to receive it, you can see Gyökeres is on his bike. You can see where he's traveling to. Straight in. Now he's pointed. Now he really wants it. I'm running there. Give me the ball. And Merino, experienced player, sees the run and just slides that ball in. Very, very smooth. And then Gyökeres. Now, in this position, I'm going to look at Ethan Nwaneri at the edge of the box. This is where I want my number 10, number 8, whoever it is, I want them attacking the penalty spot. That is exactly what I want to see from my players. I want to see them really breaking their neck, getting into the box. The best in the world at this, the best I've ever seen was Frank Lampard. He did it time and time and time again. We all know how it looked because we all saw it against us. And you see Gyökeres, he gets the ball. This is actually 30 seconds into the game, and he cuts it back. There's no one attacking that space. So Ethan Nwaneri is probably not going to get it because it's cut out by a couple of defenders. But at the same time, there are no Arsenal players in the box really attacking that. And this is something Gyökeres will be expected to get in the end of these, but he's a fantastic channel runner, and he is going to go wide and create these movements and give us these options. Then you look at, not long after that, ball comes out wide. It's Bukayo Saka. You can see Gyökeres. He's on the penalty spot now. He's the player attacking it. But what was interesting here, Saka comes in and he starts to move. He's facing up his man, as usual, head up, looking at the play ahead of him. And Ben White, round the outside, suddenly Saka's got the overlap. There's a decoy runner, and Saka gets it. Instead of cutting back onto his left, he throws both defenders and follows the decoy run onto his right foot. Ball comes in. Now, what's strange here is I don't really like the run that Gyökeres makes. Kind of pills towards the back post. And as a result, when this cross comes in, it's not the best cross. That's part of it. But Gyökeres is going backwards towards goal. He's got himself too close to the goal and he's going backwards. So he throws a leg in the air and it kind of cuts out the ball for, I think it might be Norgard coming in at the back there, but it cuts the ball out for him and it makes it very difficult for Gyökeres to get to it himself. So position in there, not quite tip-top shape, and it's something that he will no doubt sharpen up on. Because as I say, this is his first game for the team properly. He had 10 minutes against Spurs, but he was heavily jet-lagged, looked very out of shape. He looked in a much, much better condition when he came on in this game. But you could see where he wanted to be, and straight away you can see these situations. This is another angle of it. As I said, it's not the best cross because it is going behind him, and he just throws a leg in the air, and there isn't a lot that he can do. Personally, my preference would be throwing a leg in that position. You're not fully committing to a bicycle kick. You're not really committing to anything. I would rather a player try and chest it or head it down and hit that player at the edge of the box. But that's just my personal preference. So when you look at some of his other actions, this is him. Martinelli gets the ball. And we saw in this game, Martinelli coming slightly more infield and Gyökeres going wide. I've seen people say Gyökeres realized Martinelli was so poor that he started taking up the left wing himself. But actually, as anyone who's watched this show will know, Gyökeres is a very prominent left-sided channel runner, and he is very good at attacking this space, cutting inside and getting his shots away. And on this occasion, Martinelli does well, gets the ball back, plays it out to Gyökeres, who gets it bang round his man, pushes it forward, sizes him up, but he has one thought in his mind, and that's how do I get the goal? You can see he's got a man at the edge of the box in Mikel Merino. He could play that pass back, but no, he wants to get a shot away. And this might be frustrating at times, but this is why he scores goals. He hits a lot of shots. There are going to be times where we say, why didn't Gyökeres pass the ball? But actually, that isn't his game. He is a player that will shoot. He will get shots away repeatedly. And this was probably the moment of the game where I thought, you know what, this is why we've bought him. So again, it's Mikel Merino on the ball, gets it, and it's a lovely pass straight through. But again, I'm just going to go back a second. You can see it when he gets the ball, cuts in, he gets away from his man, so he gets that bit of separation there. And you can see Gyökeres right now. Look at him go, bang. Saka's running through. Gyökeres isn't letting him have that shot. There isn't a chance in hell that Bukayo Saka is going to get a shot there ahead of Viktor Gyokeres. He comes in on his stronger right foot. It's a tight angle, but he still generates enough pace to really force a save from the keeper. And for me, that's what I want to see from him. I want to see him come in and get those shots away, because that's a key part of his game. That's something that we need to see more of. We need to see him really hitting those shots and really impressing and making sure defenders know that he is on the shoulder. Frustratingly, he came off just after this. At this point, Martin Odegaard came on. Max Diamond came on. We saw a big lot of changes. We saw Gabriel come on at the same time. Zubimendi was only on 15 minutes at this point. And it felt like the big boys were coming on to really play creative football, and Gyökeres would have really benefited from that. But unfortunately, he was taken off, which is obviously a plan to build up his fitness. That is something that's going to happen. But it is worth noting, we really struggled to break down this Villarreal side, and they are not a good side. There are a lot of very average field Premier League players in it. This isn't the Villarreal of old. This is a very poor side, and we were really struggling to get the ball into dangerous areas and really create chances for our players. But some of the things that I did like and I want to highlight as well with Gyökeres. So you look at these kind of movements. So Gyökeres, very early into the game, ball comes back and he's pressing, he's working hard. Again, goes to the keeper. Gyökeres closing down straight away. And on this occasion, You look at how close he gets before the keeper releases the ball. We've seen Kai Havertz really struggle, really press upon keepers and really, really hurt them in these positions, put them under a lot of pressure. What Gyökeres is able to do with the pace he has, this will really add to Arsenal's press. This will give us a lot more energy. But what interested me at this point, Odegaard wasn't on the pitch, and our press felt light. Gyökeres seemed to be the player that was taking it upon himself to really go and press. Waneri isn't a natural press leader. Marino isn't a natural guy organising it in that sense. But it felt like Arsenal's press were really lacking something. The minute Odegaard came on, that changed. But Gyökeres' off-the-ball actions impressed me a lot. And this is, again, another example. You see it, ball goes loose, and he's straight in, and you see the power of him running, and he will scare defenders. He just bulldozes his way over there. And again, this was something I liked. He carries the ball well. In my opinion, I would have liked him to try and take a touch there and set his body to shoot. But instead, he tries to play in Saka, which you can see Saka is possibly marginally offside, maybe on the shoulder of the centre back at the other side. But he is trying to play him in. If this ball goes through, that's a great chance created for Saka. And again, I love that positivity that I'm going to get the ball and I'm driving forward. There was no indication that Gyökeres had any intention of just popping it off to a teammate. He turned and he wanted to carry forward. And that's something that we saw throughout the entire game. On this occasion, gets the ball. You can see it's Waneri in this case, loses it, and he gets it. Where does he want to go? Straight forward again, into Saka, into a dangerous area, inside the box, where he can do something with it. And that was the key thing that I was looking at. It was all forward. Everything was forward. And I mentioned some of the runs in behind the, look where I'm going, play it to me. This happened on multiple occasions during the first half where he was making these runs. And I was sitting inside the ground. I was in the North Bank end, and I was watching him quite closely. He was making a lot of runs that just weren't being picked up. And this is something that we've seen from Martinelli as well. When a striker continuously makes the runs and they don't get picked up, there is a point where they start to get frustrated, and that's a worry. So he was making runs repeatedly, and we saw Miles Lewis-Skelly at times just take the ball, pop it off to a teammate slightly safe. And I'm thinking, Miles, just play that ball down the line. We're so ingrained with the safety side of the game that we don't want to lose it, because the faster it goes forward, the faster it comes back, the old Pep cliche. But the issue is we've gone into overdrive with that safety, in that we're so slow taking it forward that the opposition are set. Everyone's 5 yards apart. We make average defenders look like great defenders, and you can go into repetition defending. And that's something that I hate. If you can repeatedly do the same action over and over and over again, it means you're not challenging your defenders. And that's what we've got. We see the same defenders hoof the ball forward, head it out, and face the same ball over and over again. Gyökeres will make those runs, play it down the line. If he loses, he's going to put up a fight. The defender knows next time that run comes, he is going to be taken one way, and he's got a choice. Do I go out to the channel and let you deal with Gyökeres, or do I stay central? If he stays central and Gyökeres goes out, he probably wins the ball. If he goes with him, it's space for someone else. This is why we need to move the ball forward faster. We need to get into those areas, and we need to see greater rotations between our left winger and our striker. And we saw bits of that yesterday. However, Martinelli's form is so poor at the minute, and it's so out of sorts. But again, it's not just the left wing position. We need to see Lewis-Skelly in that inverted left back position. Both get round his man. There was one instance yesterday we started pedaling forward, and Martinelli didn't give him the ball. But I want to see more of these overlapping runs. I want to see Miles have more of the half-space drives that he had yesterday and that he did against PSG, where he ran the length of half a pitch, gets into a dangerous area and plays a dangerous pass. These will all aid our striker, because the faster we're going forward, the more agitated we get defenses, the more we split up the midfield distances. All these things matter whenever it comes to creating space for strikers. But then Noni Madueke came on, and he got about 15 minutes in this game. And a lot of this will also apply to him. So on the left, Arsenal's issue has been that Martinelli has been receiving the ball far too wide and far too far from goal. I did a show last week where I looked at his touch map and his heat map. And then the most congested area for Martinelli is really far out on the touchline. And I was thinking, is this a Martinelli thing? And when I did the show, I was looking at Trossard and I was thinking, Martinelli needs to fix up in this area. He needs to do more. Madueke's a player who likes to be high. He likes to carry the ball and he likes to really push in beyond the back line. He wants to push you back and he will do it time and time again. And then he came on yesterday. And this is something that confused me a bit because straight away I was looking at him and thinking, he doesn't quite look like Madueke. And as I said, I was watching from within the ground. And sometimes when you're watching inside the ground, your view is distorted because you're trying to watch multiple things, especially in preseason when you're trying to work out what's going on. You're maybe not watching the game the way you would usually watch it because I'm a nerd. I like these details. But straight away, one of the things I could see with Madueke was where he was receiving the ball. If you look at this, gets the ball, pops it back to Zinchenko. Again, where's he getting it? Right out on the left touchline. And I get one of the principles of play is width. You want to get that width. You want to make sure you're stretching the team, making it big. But why does Madueke need to be receiving it this deep? There is absolutely space for him to be a few yards further up the pitch and getting the ball. And this isn't a Madueke issue because he wasn't doing this as much at Chelsea. But he came on, and this is almost like a left wing back position. And you can see at this point, Arsenal very much Zinchenko on the pitch, starting to press up. You can see there's a lot of high players up, players really in the forward areas. And you can see Declan Rice making that run. And this is something that people have said about Granit Xhaka's relationship with Martinelli. The run that Declan Rice is making that you can see right now is the kind of run that Granit Xhaka used to make quite often. And on this occasion, Madueke can't find him, pulls it back, gives it to Zinchenko. But again, Declan Rice, off he goes on his bike. It's the same run again. On this occasion, he plays it earlier, he sees it. He's now had a couple of minutes on the pitch with Declan. He's starting to read this relationship, and you can see it. Rice gets it, wins it. Again, on this occasion, Madueke's probably 4 or 5 yards further back than I would like it. And then he's having to turn and get the ball facing onto it instead of taking it side on. Opens his body on this occasion, runs at the defense. Cross isn't great. Look, he's overhit that cross, but you can see there aren't a lot of players in the box. Whenever he gets close to it, you can see it. But even this touch. So this is a very simple touch that he makes when he gets the ball, comes to him, opens his body, but he pushes it in front of him. He buys himself a couple of yards, and you can see, again, he's running with his head up. I've talked about this with Max Diamond. I've talked about it with Saka, with Waneri, with Miles Lewis-Skelly. I love players that play with their head up because they can see the pitch, and you can see Madueke traveling. But on this occasion, this is when Gyökeres has come off the pitch. Now, if I'm a winger, I want to see someone that's attacking the penalty spot. At this point, Mourinho was playing as a false nine, and you can see he does start to attack that. Ball comes in, but it's not a good cross. It's overhit, and it ends up being dealt with straight back out. But in this, then we started to see Madueke come a bit more infield, starting to feel his way into the game. And this is what I liked. You could see his personality coming through. Just gets the ball, and on this occasion, holds off his man easily, pops it back. But this is where he really started to come to life. Gets it, and you can see now the ball's come to him ahead of him. So when he turns, he's able to open his body to go forward, and he gets it. And again, that touch pushes it out of his body, and he starts running at his man, facing his man up, and really making sure that he knows he's going to run at him. Where's he going to go? Is he going onto his right foot? Is he going onto his left? He chooses his stronger foot on this occasion. Round. Now, again, Mikel Merino is the player playing as a 9. Merino probably wants that cut back across that can't really happen unless it's dinked over the top. Viktor Gyokeres is a player that makes that run, hitting the near post. And what's interesting is Arsenal haven't had a player under Mikel Arteta who goes on their left foot on the left wing. Martinelli can do it, but it's onto his weaker foot. On this occasion, Madueke goes onto his stronger foot. And this was right at the end of the game, right before the final whistle, and it's cut out. But what I love about that cross, where you want that is exactly where you want your striker to be hit. And that's the danger area. That is where you can really kill teams. So ultimately, what do Arsenal need to do to get more out of these two? Well, first up, the ball needs to come quicker out to the left. That's something we've talked about with Martinelli. Get the ball to the left quicker. We do it reasonably well. We do it better than we get credit for. We create a lot of space for those wingers. And people talk about the left being isolated. There's a reason for that. Kyle Saka is overloaded on the right. We have 2-3 defenders on him at all times. He is an overlapper. He has Martin Odegaard close to him. But on the left, when you're isolated, you tend to actually only have one player that you're having to face up. So if you can build up speed and open your body and push that ball the way Madueke did on both occasions when he got the cross in, you can travel very fast. And by the time you're reaching your man, you can have built up quite a bit of speed. And that ability to make up ground and really isolate the flank allows you to beat your man much more easily. Now, the issue is I want to see Madueke a step up 2 or 3 yards further up the pitch so that he's less of a left wing back and almost more in line with the strikers, playing on the last line, really pushing them back, getting in behind. And he can do that. He can do that very effectively. We saw those 2 crosses go in. One wasn't great, but this is a player that's very rusty. The second one's a brilliant cross. That's exactly where I want them to put it. And I want to see someone attacking that ball. So again, this all comes back to speed. I mentioned the channel running of Viktor Gyokeres. We need to release fast. We need to release that down the line quickly. And that's the same with Madueke, with Martinelli, and with any other runners we've got. Because ultimately, the key to Arsenal's success this season isn't just new additions. It's movement of the forward players. We've got some of the best defensive players, some of the best out of possession players in the world. But we've also got some very good technical players and some good runners. With Madueke and Gyökeres, we've added 2 very powerful runners, 2 great movers in the sense that we've never had before. We can waste them. We can make them play our system that's not working in attack right now, or we can maximize what we've paid for and really get the ball to them quickly. Who cares if we lose it quickly and it comes back down the other end? We have players that are equipped to deal with that. We need to take more risk. We need to get it into those killers' feet and really make sure we're really threatening teams. And similarly, it's not just them. The faster that ball comes to Saka, the easier it is for him to really make something of it. The faster it gets into Odegaard, the quicker he can release it. Waneri can do something with it. So by getting more out of Gyökeres and Madueke and platforming them in a more specific way, we can also maximize our existing attackers and those players that have been wearing the shirt for years. If we can do that, we will score a bag full of goals. If we don't do that, we will continue to face very settled low blocks with repetitive defending, where defenders continually just do the same actions because we're creating the same level of threat. If we continue to do that, we will struggle this season. But we need to get back to starting faster, moving it faster, being more inventive in the final third, and ultimately just putting the ball in dangerous areas and taking more risk. If we do that, Madueke and Gyökeres can really bang in this team. If we try to use them in the current system, we're going to really struggle to get the best out of both of them. But we have players that can complement them, and we have brought them in to do something different, not to do what we've always done, and that is the key. So look, tell us what you think. Drop a like, hit subscribe, and ultimately drop a comment. Let's have a conversation. Tell us what you think. I'm always keen to have these chats and find out, how do you think we should maximize Gyökeres and Madueke? Thanks again. Hit the like, hit subscribe, and drop a comment. Have a great day. We'll see you soon.